What is good, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about the Houston Rockets. Y'all already know that I'm a Boston Celtics fan, and they just beat my Celtics today. Woo! That was a good game, one of the best games I've done seen. Both teams going back and forth, both teams colliding, competing, benches stepping up, star players stepping up. We gonna just talk about the Rockets. Obviously, they're the number one team in the NBA, not the West, the whole entire NBA. They're on a 15-game winning streak. James Harden is saying that this is the best team he ever played on top to bottom, including the Dwight Howard team that went to the Western Conference Finals, including the Oklahoma City team that went to the NBA Finals and lost to the Heat. We're going to talk about that first, and then we're going to talk about, obviously, the whole team as a whole and how good this team really is. This is going to go down as one of the best teams ever, even if they flop. Same thing we said about the Warriors. They had the 73-9 record. Obviously, they failed to win the championship, so they're not the best team ever, but they're one of them. And this Rockets team, the way they're embarrassing people, the way they're dancing and dribbling and just just embarrassing people. They shooting tough threes. They shooting from 30 feet threes. They taking tough shots. But they've been doing it consistently all season. Remember, James Harden went down. They kept winning. Chris Paul went down early in the season. They still had the number one record in the NBA. Lost it to Golden State. Chris Paul and James Harden get back healthy, and they got it right back again. We would have never thought that a team can compete with Golden State. Golden State had won the most games in the NBA for the last couple of seasons. Houston actually has a chance to have one of the best offenses, including when Golden State is in the league. Not only one of the best offenses, but they're having one of the best records of all time too. And they have a chance to have a better record than the Warriors this season, which we would have never seen coming, especially when they added Kevin Durant last year, that the Rockets can win more games in the regular season than the Golden State Warriors. I never would have seen that coming. I've been on the James Harden pushing for him to win MVP over the last couple years, as you can see on my other videos. But not only that, Kevin Durant went down, Steph Curry went down for a couple games too. So if they was healthy, you can say they probably would have won those games. But they have shown that they were beatable this year. But we're going to talk about James Harden, a guy that came off the bench for the Oklahoma City Thunder, that we would have never thought that he would be this dominant. Obviously, if you live outside of Houston, you thought that way. Because when he got traded, he was a six-man. He showed the ability to hit big shots, especially in that San Antonio series. Before they made it to the finals, he hit some big shots, some big threes, some big plays. Not only that, though, he was just a six-man, and he did win six-man of the year, so he has show potential. But you got to also be real about it. At the same time, James Harden averaged 16 points, 49 from the field, 39 from three that season. But at the same time, it was like James Harden, he's good, but he flopped a little bit in the finals. We don't know if he's ready to be a superstar franchise player. And as soon as he went to Houston, the craziest thing happened. He averaged 25, five assists and 5 rebounds, basically, with a steal. Came back the next season, averaged 25, 27, 29, 29. This year, 31. Let's be real, as a people that love basketball outside of the Rockets fans, we never saw James Harden averaging no goddamn 31 points and 9 assists a game. When he got to Houston, we knew he can play. We knew he'd get more opportunities. We knew he'd get more shots up so his numbers can go up that way. But everybody knew they had the game plan to stop James Harden. Everybody keyed in on James Harden. The number one player you scout when you're going against the Rockets is James Harden. So that means his job is tougher. And let me add this into the factor. His best players was Chandler Parsons, who was a solid player, a solid starter at best, more of a glue guy. Omer Asik, Jeremy Lin, and they couldn't make the playoffs at all until James Harden got traded there. They got close a couple times after Tracy and Yao Ming left. They struggled. They even went to go get Kevin Martin, and he couldn't get them over the hump. And they get James Harden, and they've been in the playoffs every single year since then. But this year, they have a chance to go down as one of the best winningest team in NBA history. They have a chance to have an MVP in James Harden. They have one of the best players of all time in Chris Paul. Even though he hasn't had playoff success, he's joining a team that already went to the Western Conference Finals before with James Harden as the best player. This team is stacked top to bottom. Talent-wise and on paper. But James Harden and Chris Paul, they get those switches, they dance on people, they take tough shots. My biggest complaint that might hurt them in the playoffs is if you go back to that Spurs series, they relied a little bit too much on James Harden. And I even said, well, Eric Gordon was going to take ball handling duties from James Harden. He was going to be able to make James Harden play off the ball sometimes, and he's going to be able to knock down shots. This is before they got Chris Paul. And he did that, and he ended up getting Sixth Man of the Year. Chris Paul comes here, takes more of the ball responsibilities off James Harden. He allows James Harden to go back to that shooting guard position. He allows a person that can defend that point guard position at an elite level, and James Harden just has to worry about guarding his guy. Not only that, though, they end up adding in PJ Tucker, a two-way guy, a guy that can shoot the three and guard twos, threes, and sometimes fours. You get Luke Richard Bamute, who can guard two, threes, and sometimes fours. You still have Trevor Ariza, who can guard twos, threes, and fours. And he's long and he's lanky, and he can shoot the three and stretch out the floor. And now, even in this Boston game, you've seen them turning down the three and getting to the basket and finishing. That's something that he used to do with the Lakers. He didn't do it as much with the Wizards and Rockets, but he's doing it a lot more now. Same with Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon got to the point where he settled a lot, but last year he started going back to the paint because remember he had a lot of injuries and he was banged up a lot when he was with the Pelicans and the Clippers. But he started going to the paint, attacking, stopped settling just for the pull-up jumpers. Even though he still shoot deep threes, he hit some big shots today against Boston, especially in that fourth quarter where he was a little shaky today. He stepped it up, hit the shots when it mattered the most, and that was able to help them get the W. But the biggest problem I have with this Rockets team, even though they got the ball handlers, even though they got the shot makers and shot creators in Gordon, Paul, and Harden, and obviously Clint Capella does a great job knowing his role, rolling to the rim, hustling, working hard, trying to guard the switches as best as he can, getting chased down blocks, rebounding the ball, not asking to do more, not asking to do too much. But whenever he knows his role. He gets the ball, he dunks it, lobs, puts it back up, become a great finisher around that basket and a solid rim protector around that basket too. But I do not like their shot selection in the fourth quarter. And I had said the same thing about the Rockets, obviously, the Clippers, when they had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. In the fourth quarter, it goes Chris Paul and Jamal Crawford save the day. And what I mean by that is a lot of non-ball movement, isolation, pull-up threes, pull-up mid-range. And that did not win in the playoffs. We see the same thing with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. They go isolation in the fourth quarter and just try to play one-on-one while everybody sit and watch. I don't like James Harden sometimes in the fourth quarter, and same with Chris Paul, because when they get the switch, they settle for that three. And yes, you can make an argument that it's good because they knock them down, but the fourth quarter, that's when you're more tired. You've been playing all these other quarters, taking all this punishment, going to the basket, getting bumped and knocked around, and you're playing defense, and your legs is not underneath you as much, especially because James Harden and Chris Paul do more of the ball handling duties. But they do this dribble by the three-point line, step back, throw up a bullshit three, and it doesn't work. I've been watching Rockets game for the last 4 or 5 years because James Harden went there and they made him relevant. But I don't get why, and he did it in this Boston game too, and he missed it. And Chris Paul kept doing it. And I'm looking like the dribble, pull up three is not a good shot in the fourth quarter, especially with the game on the line. Yes, it can be a dagger because if you hit that three and go up 5 or go up 6, it looks good. It looks amazing. And you have a cushion to make a mistake up by 6. But at the same time, that's one of the toughest shots. To get a 6, 7 and above, shooting over that, James Harden and Chris Paul got to shoot over these guys on the switches. You have to shoot it quicker, rush it a little bit, still size it up, still get on balance, and still have to have the the energy, and the work is just too much. And I don't like the ISO dribble, throw up bullshit. Same thing with Eric Gordon. It was the fourth quarter. He was taking tough shots. He made them, so you can't complain. He made them, so you can't criticize him that much because it went in. But Eric Gordon, those shots, like I said about the Spurs series, if you have guys like Danny Green that's athletic and quick, and Kawhi Leonard, and Rudy Gay, they can bother those shots. They can guard those shots. And remember, Spurs can go big with DeJounte, Kawhi, and Danny Green. Golden State can go big with KD and Draymond, or small, that they can guard the PJ Tuckers and the Trevor Reeves at the fours and the threes. They can guard those positions. Yes, the Rockets still are a tough team to guard. Yes, they are one of the best offensive teams we've done seen. But in the playoffs, when it's slower and more execution based and discipline, I don't know if that's going to work. That isolation, throw up tough threes. And besides, you want to get the best shot available at all times, not the toughest shot available, especially if you want a recipe for winning. But their defense has been better. They came up with key steals in multiple games. That's one thing we always criticize Mike D'Antoni for. He was all about the O, but forgot about the D. I can't say that much this year for James Harden either. He comes up with big steals. So do PJ. So do Trevor. A lot of the times it's Chris Paul and blocks by Clint Capella. And sometimes they block shots too. But they've been playing well as a unit. It's not really one man. Even though you look at James Harden numbers, Chris Paul putting up numbers too. Eric Gordon putting up numbers too. This is a collective effort and it's beautiful to watch. Besides, when they do the isolation in the fourth quarter, I don't know if that's going to pan out in the playoffs, but it's working in the regular season. Plus, you got to play the bad teams and the mediocre teams. And it's worked against the Celtics today, which is one of the number one defensive team in the league. But they was also down big a little bit in the fourth quarter. Eric Gordon was able to make some shots. James Harden was able to make some shots and get some steals, and that was able to help them seal the victory. But if they're going to take those type of shots, they got to be able to hold their defense down as a unit and try to slow the other team down as much as possible if they're going to live off those tough shots. But this team has been beautiful to watch. One of the best teams I ever seen offensively, virtually unguardable because you have to guard Chris Paul, who can get a shot off and score on anybody. Same with James Harden. And the fact that you surround them with people like Capella and Ryan Anderson and Trevor Reeves, guys that know their role and not trying to do too much, but they know how to, they're specialists, makes this team very difficult to guard and very difficult to play against, especially with the length. Even when they go small, they still have size, length, and athleticism. So this team is amazing. James Harden is my MVP. I've been saying it since early in the season. I'm saying it now. I do think they can beat the Warriors. It's going to be tough because the Warriors and the Spurs are more disciplined and they value each possession and they get better shots consistently. But like I said, if this team is active defensively, they have players that can make big shots. They got players that's not scared to take big shots. And they showed in the playoffs, even last year against OKC, that James Harden can struggle. He shot 33% today against the Celtics, but they still was able to win because they have more depth, have more help, and they play together as much as they can, and guys know their roles and don't try to get out of there. I mean, try to do too much. So let me know what you guys think. Does James Harden deserve MVP? Is the Houston Rockets going to finish #1 overall in the NBA? Can they beat the Warriors? Do you think it's just a regular season thing like it was last year when they got destroyed by the Spurs? Do you think this Chris Paul can finish fighting his demons? Do you think James Harden can finally beat Golden State, the team that's been ruling the West for the last 4 years now? And if you're a Rockets fan, how far do you think if they beat Golden State, which we all think, whoever come out the West is going to win the ring? Can they beat the Cleveland? They struggled a little bit against Boston. Can they beat these teams coming out the East in the 7-game series? I think so. But like I said, that's just my analysis. That's just my opinion. I still want to know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about the Houston Rockets. Check out my website, NawSupplyGround.com. Link in the description in the comment section below. Check out my website, NawSupplyGround.com. Link in the description in the comment section below. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm gone. Let me know what you guys think about the Houston Rockets.